Hello, everybody. Thanks for hopping in on another segment of Jake's Takes. Want to dissect something that was said from a guy that's a pioneer of sports media and the SEC. Mr. Paul Finebaum was quoted in an interview saying that the Georgia-Florida rivalry is now more vicious and more of a driver in the SEC than the Iron Bowl is, or that the rivalry is more intense than the Iron Bowl is. And number one, I think both of those statements are incorrect, and I'm going to get into why I believe that. I was very surprised to hear that, especially since a lot of what helped Mr. Finebaum was the Iron Bowl, if we can all remember it. And I'm going to get to that, but first I do want to give a shout-out to our partners at betonline.ag. Head over there right now. They've got the online casino. It's always open. We got Major League Baseball. Throw some parlays in there. Baseball's a little weird, but you can get on some hot streaks if you can get in a rhythm for a team. And again, they've got other great stuff. I know the Masters just ended, but we got more golf coming up. So head over to betonline.ag today and tell them that Jboy sent you. So I want to break this down into the two arguments and my counters and why I believe that take just wasn't very good at the end of the day. And again, I say this with all due respect and everything like that, but I can't sit idly by when I feel like something that's so obvious, I believe, to most of us, and not just in the state of Alabama. I think a lot of people would agree, and I actually think the Auburn-Georgia rivalry is more vicious than the Georgia-Florida rivalry. Dates back longer than any other rivalry, and you could almost say that the hatred between the Auburn fans and the Georgia fans could even be more than the respect level you see, not only between the players and the coaches, but between Auburn fans and Alabama fans. But we all know it's way more vicious than the world's largest cocktail party. I mean, it's one thing to play your brother that lives across the street. It's another thing to go to a Great Gatsby party and just a football game breaks out. So that's neither here nor there. But the first thing, that the rivalry between Georgia and Florida is more intense and vicious than the Iron Bowl. Number one, we live in the same state. That's your neighbor. That's your brother. It divides households. And me having to sit here and explain the intenseness of the Iron Bowl rivalry to people that know, that really know, even like I said, outside of the state, is almost asinine to me. That's what really makes it special. A guy poisoned a live tree in downtown Auburn because somebody put a Cam Newton jersey on the Bear Bryant statue. Now, you have fights between fans and all this stuff before the game, and you're within the confines of the same state. You work with these people. You're right next to these people. And what happens during that game affects how you live in that state for the next 364 and a half days. Now, the Georgia-Florida game is one, I know it's a rivalry. It's not even played on rivalry weekend. They don't even classify that as a rivalry enough to play it on rivalry weekend. That's amazing to me. I wonder why they do that. And I know there's been good games. And if you look, those are the only two teams in the East that have done anything. So, of course, it's going to matter. But we're talking about the East, though. We're talking about the East. And right now, you look, Florida may be taking a step back. Like I've said, I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky or Missouri finished second in the East this year. But to say it's more intense, the Iron Bowl is a way of life. It is almost religion worthy. You could lose every game during the regular season. But if you win the Iron Bowl, a majority of people will be happy. Can you say that about the Georgia-Florida game? If Georgia were to lose to Auburn, lose to, let's say, Alabama, but if they beat Florida, would everybody in Georgia be happy? No, not even close. Not even close. So that argument to me is that's the easiest one to counter. And people say, oh, well, you're biased because you grew up in the state of Alabama. Yeah, the key word there is state of Alabama. That is where Tuscaloosa is, and that's where Auburn is. And it's not a far drive. Jacksonville is a long way away. And I know you say, all right, neutral site and all this stuff, that's great. But aren't rivalry games played at each other's stadiums? Isn't that when rivalry games? Does Auburn play Georgia at a neutral site? No. So trying to classify that as more intense is borderline laughable to me. And Paul, I think you know that. I think you know that. What generates more excitement? You say that the Georgia-Florida rivalry, that game, generates more excitement and viciousness than the Iron Bowl. Come on, Paul. I don't see a world where that's true. And I guess there's some arguments you can make. So that's one. Then you say that it's more of an SEC driver than the Iron Bowl. Okay. How many national championships have come out of the SEC East in the past 5-7 years? Let's go 10 years. Heck, let's go 11 years. How many? So I know that that's typically what has decided the East. But when you're not winning championships, at the end of the day, how can you say it's the biggest driver? Yeah, you made it out of the East. Congrats. And we know Bama's ran with it a lot more than anybody else, but you've got LSU. You've got Auburn. So you think about games like the Kick Six. Well, there's a lot riding on that game. Think about a couple years ago. There's a lot riding on that game. That game is at the end of the year as well. It's at the end of the year where a loss can really, 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 really hurt you. During what weekend? Oh, wait, rivalry weekend. That's when they play that game. And we all know the success that Georgia has had. And I know the rivalry's gone back and forth. You know, Georgia dominated, then Florida dominated, then Georgia, then Florida, whatever. But to say it's a driver, more of a driver. For the East, yes. When it comes down to the East, that is the driver. That is the game. That is the one. I will agree with you 100,000 times in a row that that's the one. But to say for the whole SEC, I think you're fishing. I think you can again look at the Auburn-Georgia game. So those two arguments by themselves don't hold water. But the third one is the one that just mathematically is wrong. And it's wrong. During the interview, Mr. Finebaum said that Auburn fans have waved the white flag against Nick Saban because they know they're never going to beat him. They're 2-2 in the last 4 games, Paul. What are you talking about? Auburn's been the only team that can beat Alabama. That's the only reason Gus Malzahn was held on to for as long as he was, because he slipped up and beat Alabama. So how can you say wave the white flag? So now you're saying that the Iron Bowl is not only vicious, or less vicious, that people have just given up on it, and they're 2-2 in the last 4 games. The Kid Six is probably the most historical play that I've seen in my lifetime, that we've seen in our lifetime. So I would love for you to explain that to me. And speaking of explaining, if you're having trouble sleeping, you need to go to SundayScaries.com. Use the Jboy promo code. That's JBOY. You save 25%. Let me say that again. You save 25%. All right, off your order if you use that promo code. That Sunday Scaries are the best CBD company in the business, whether it's gummies, drops, strips. It doesn't matter if you're having trouble sleeping, you have achy joints. This isn't something crazy or something that is outside of just a way to relax you, a way to help you. I've already had fans of the show tell me they've started using it and it's worked. Shout out to Mr. Jim, you know who I'm talking about. But go to SundayScaries.com, use the Jboy promo code, and save 25% off. So head over to SundayScaries.com today. But back to waving the white flag. I think Alabama fans will even tell you that's not true. I mean, you can even go back the last 20 years, the last 30 years. Now, if we're talking about Auburn and Georgia, Georgia's dominated that rivalry. They have absolutely dominated that rivalry lately. I believe 2-7, somewhere around there, 2-8. Not a great number. But to sit here and try, and to me it seemed very clickbaity, and some people might say it's a grab for attention. But I don't understand why you have to do that. Because it's just not true. It's not true. So I would love to get Mr. Finebaum a response on this, to come on to explain to me your thinking, because I know you're a smart guy. You're not a dumb guy, and you said this for a reason. But I guess you can't let facts get in the way of a good story. But this isn't even a good story. The Iron Bowl is, in my opinion, the most intense rivalry that there is in football. It's the most intense. And a lot of people that have grown up around the SEC, I think, will agree. You can't say that about Alabama and Tennessee because Alabama's dominated. You can't say that about Auburn and Georgia because Georgia's dominated lately. But the Georgia-Florida rivalry is not nearly as influential or vicious or year-determining as the Iron Bowl is. That's an asinine statement to me. And deep down, I think you agree with me. But to say that Auburn fans have waved the white flag in the Iron Bowl when you're 2-2 in the last 4 games, that part really doesn't make sense to me. That's when you're really going to have to dig deep down and explain. They're the only team that can beat them, Paul. They're the only team that's beaten them. I know that because I've seen you go on your show right after that game and the ratings go through the roof. I've seen it with my own eyes. I understand it. And I know it's drivel season, and we may be reaching here. We don't reach here. But that was a bad reach. That's just puts you in the bonus on a stupid reach and foul reach. To get beat out of the NCAA tournament on a horrible mistake reach. So I would love for you to either correct that because I think it's wrong, or come on and to quote Kanye West from a certain South Park episode, explain it to me. Just explain it to me. Because it does not make sense. Now, you'll have a faction of Georgia and Florida fans that say, yeah, it's the best ride. It's the most intense. And I guess I understand that part. But coming from you, Paul, a guy that's seen it, from a scenic view, from the mountaintop view looking down, this one really surprised me. It really surprised me. So that's my reasoning. That's my counter. I feel like I'm right. I hope a lot of people agree with me. Let me know. Comment below what you think. What side are you on? Do you think the Georgia-Florida rivalry is more intense, more SEC defining? And has Auburn waved the white flag in the Iron Bowl when they're 500 against Alabama in the last 4 games? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Got some more great stuff coming. Got a simulcast coming for A-Day. Going to get a coach's perspective from that. So watch it on your TV. Turn down the volume and check us out on the YouTube channel we got. Make sure you subscribe. Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Check us out. We're putting out great content regardless of what team you root for. SEC, even beyond some time. Got some great NFL draft stuff coming up. Anthony Schwartz, Super Agent Lee Steinberg, Elijah Holyfield, guys like that, and a certain tight end as well. I'm not going to drop the name yet. Hopefully getting that done as soon as possible. We're going to keep giving you the content to help you win the water cooler. Keep getting our predictions right. Make sure you check us out at thejboyshow.com as well, where you can donate or buy some of that fantastic merch. It's been selling really well, so make sure you gear up and join the team. That's the only way you can truly win the water cooler. All right, catch y'all soon. Holla at your boy.